here we are, one of the most visually interesting missions in the game. Even after all these years, the look of this park just makes my jaw drop. Sure, graphically speaking, it's been outdone by quite a number of games over the years, but the style is just so distinct and bleak compared to everything else in the game that it's easy to say that something serious is gonna happen here. Though part of that is a little undermined by the fact that for some reason, we have to rescue Natalia immediately after our first meeting with her when we broke out of prison together, but I suppose nothing's perfect. Sorry, but I prefer the idea of Bond knowing Valentine personally and then establishing the meeting with Janice, not M arranging for it all. Not that I'm against the idea of M doing some things in the background to make sure things are running smoothly, just that I prefer it when Bond gets to show how clever and observant he is. And unfortunately, this game doesn't really allow for that, given the graphical limitations among some others. Great! We start right next to a massive broken hand that's pointing us in the direction we need to go. And much like the 8th mission, the enemy somehow knows we're here before we've even done anything yet. Bloody hell! I just can't understate just how unique it feels to run around in a park that's full of the ruined remains of the Soviet Union. Sure, I've played plenty of games over the years that have had Russians as the bad guys, and we've seen plenty of games where the Russians we're fighting are trying to regain the glory that the old Soviet Union might have inspired, despite its brutality. But even in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you never see an actual shattered set of monuments to that old glory. Though I'm fairly sure that nostalgia is helping to make this location feel even more amazing to me. It's not like I can just throw those glasses away entirely. And much like the second trip to Severnaya, the enemy is just going to keep on coming from multiple angles. At the very least, I appreciate the fact that Bond didn't bother putting a silencer on the gun this time. Our arrival was extremely well advertised. Dear God, just how much time did they devote to the visuals in this mission alone compared to some of the other missions in this game? And now for our meeting with Valentine. He's a much more forgettable character in the game than he was in the movie, but he still gets the job done, seriously. We don't see him running a club, he doesn't get a limp of any kind, and we never see anyone actually working for him. The dialogue doesn't even imply that Bond and Valentine have a history with each other from before this mess. But he does mention the fact that Janice is a child of one of the Cossacks that fought with Hitler against Stalin, and that England shipped them straight back to Russia to get slaughtered. In my opinion, it's one of the things that makes the main villain of Goldeneye the most interesting villain in the entire Bond franchise. He has absolutely every reason to screw over both the Russians and the British, since his parents were murdered by the actions of both governments. And you've gotta think that an orphan who grew up working for a government that stabbed his family in the back isn't going to give a damn that his family was on a very wrong side of a very destructive war and that they were not saints. So many Bond villains are either in it for the money or the generic world domination thing. someone with personal stakes in causing world chaos is just such a nice breath of fresh air. The fact that the villain was also a former friend of Bond just adds even more flavor to an already amazing character. One thing I keep forgetting is what triggers Janice and his personal bodyguards to come to the statue. I keep thinking that for a while you just need to wait until they finally arrive, and that does nothing other than add to our body count, since the regular enemies will just keep spawning and swarming out. What you actually need to do is pause the game for a bit, looking at your watch, then they'll spawn in and the regular guards will stop streaming to the spot. It's not a major issue, but I can't help thinking the game should have done a little better job conveying what we need to do here to get things moving. I'm not even sure I remember that was the trigger. I might have just gone, okay, what's taking him so long? Checking our watch to see if maybe I forgot to do something before now? And just how hilarious is it that checking your watch in impatience is just what makes the next major thing actually happen? And it's probably not going to stop being funny for me, since I'm probably going to keep forgetting. That's the trigger when I get to this mission in the game, regardless of how much I love this mission. And you're certainly on the road to getting that revenge when you're planning on attacking London next with the stolen Russian superweapon, possibly setting off World War III with those two countries just slamming against each other. Certainly a much better plan than trying to spark World War III for the sake of selling newspapers. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Tomorrow Never Dies, but dear God, the motive of the villain there is just so garbage to me. Especially since that movie came immediately after Goldeneye. Anyway, time for us to rush back towards the starting area of the mission, while more of those black-wearing shotgunners keep popping up along the way. Just to rescue a lady who will get captured 2 more times after this in the same game. Such a shame that Natalia was such a capable lady in the movie, but in the game, she gets so much time as a prisoner that she's pen pals with Princess Peach from the Mario series. Do these guys even know the effective range of their own weapons? Hell, I'm not even sure just how good the shotgun is in this game, since I typically stick with the pistols and assault rifles. Apparently, they didn't want to bother trying to make an ejector seat for the helicopter in this game, or to give any real sign that Natalia was being held. She was just napping next to a very loud helicopter. And try not to get into any trouble in the minute or so that we're going to be gone. recorder ends up in a random location from what I remember, so I kind of appreciate that it was this fast to find this time. And with that, the enemy will stop spawning in fresh troops. Kind of impressive that the rotor for the helicopter is still spinning after it blew up. Almost as impressive as the fact that Natalia managed to get herself captured again when we took our eyes off of her for less than a minute. Seriously, that's going to make 3 missions in a row where we have to get her out of captivity and leave the area with her. While I appreciate that this makes Bond's capture a good deal more understandable than the bullshit cutscene at the end of the 8th mission, it's still a little hard to swallow. I'm pretty sure this misunderstanding was all part of Janus' plan, though I'm not so sure that Ourumov was informed about this part of the plan. Yeah, a little hard to get 3:15 when you keep forgetting how to start the meeting.